is the United States Information Agency in Washington, D.C., transmitting the Worldnet daily feed to Bercenay-en-Haute, France, on the program audio circuit. This is the United States Information Agency in Washington, D.C., transmitting the Worldnet daily feed to Bercenay-en-Haute, France, on the program audio circuit.
The following program material has been cleared for broadcast and use on cable television.
Credit for today's program should be given to Worldnet, the television service of the United States Information Agency.
From Washington by satellite, I'm Tim White, and this is Worldnet's America Today. Nelson Benton is off today. The Persian Gulf continues to simmer. President Reagan proposes a new peace plan for Nicaragua, and the Soviet foreign minister says that there is only one stumbling block keeping the U.S. and the USSR from reaching a medium-range missile agreement. We'll talk about that and a lot more when we gather together our weekly group of reporters on the Washington Roundup. Kevin Smith, our economics and business reporter, will bring us part 2 of his series on hostile corporate takeovers. Kevin talks about the drastic steps that corporate managers will take to keep their companies from being raided. First, the news with Kathleen Koch.
Thank you, Tim. Secretary of State George Shultz says the reflagging of Kuwaiti oil tankers in the Persian Gulf is proceeding on schedule. But the London Independent newspaper is reporting that the reflagging operation is being delayed pending the outcome of high-level talks between Kuwait and Iran. Steve Kaufman reports.
The London newspaper says Iran is urging Kuwait to cancel the U.S. reflagging and escort operation. In return, Iran would promise to stop its attacks on Kuwaiti shipping. Those attacks are in response to Kuwait's support for Iraq in the 7-year-old Persian Gulf War. In Washington, Secretary of State Shultz dismissed the London newspaper account. He repeated the U.S. policy in the area is to deter aggression against shipping caused by the spread of the Iran-Iraq war.
The real point in all of this is to get the Iran-Iraq war settled and stopped. That's the real way to end these problems. And that is what we have been trying to bring about through our diplomatic efforts. That's what the UN resolution that was passed the other day was for.
Meanwhile, Iran kept the pressure on the United States and its allies by extending their naval exercises, now scheduled to end today. U.S. reinforcements arrived in the Gulf, answering the Ayatollah's threats of revenge for last week's violence in Mecca. As the first plane load of those Iranian casualties arrived in Tehran, Iran warned the Saudis they will retaliate unless security around the Iranian embassy is withdrawn. Secretary Shultz says the U.S. and their allies insist that Persian Gulf waterways remain open for the safe flow of oil.
We will support the Gulf states against intimidation by Iran.
Shultz hopes the European allies will reconsider sending minesweepers to the region, and he noted proposals from the allies to join forces against Iranian mining. The Reagan administration says further curbs on trade with Iran, ranging up to a complete trade embargo, is also under consideration. Steve Kaufman, Worldnet.
More than 100 members of Congress have filed suit in federal court to force President Reagan to invoke the War Powers Act in the Persian Gulf. It is an effort to allow Congress to decide whether U.S. forces can continue protecting reflagged Kuwaiti tankers. The War Powers Act requires a president to notify Congress within 48 hours of introducing American troops into an area of imminent hostilities. It allows those troops to remain for 60 days without congressional approval. Further extensions would require Congress's okay. In a related development, one member of Congress is calling for extra pay for those American sailors patrolling the Persian Gulf. Capitol Hill correspondent Cheryl Irwin reports.
Members of Congress wanted to know why sailors in the Persian Gulf are not getting combat pay, now known as imminent danger pay. Congresswoman Patricia Schroeder.
You would think that what we're discussing here deals with megabucks and gigabucks, and it doesn't. Hostile fire pay, our danger pay, is only $110 a month. It really doesn't even come close to compensating our sailors for the dangers that they face.